welcome to another edition of Delta Media Group's Tech Tuesday. Today, we are going to go over something that is kind of a fundamental feature, fundamental functionality of the system, and it's things that we've gotten a lot of requests about, but we've just never done a Tech Tuesday video about it for whatever reason. Just never occurred to me, I guess. So anyway, what we're going to go over is basically what to do when you get a lead. So it's lead processing, and we'll get a little bit into kind of grouping campaigns, that kind of thing too. But primarily this is, a lead comes in, what do you do with it? So first off, real quick, we'll just run over where a lead can come from. So let's venture into my computer. See how we go into the screen like that, it's wonderful. So there are a few different ways, or a few different things that will generate a lead on your site. First off, if somebody just signs up for an account, and lead settings can be manipulated on the agent side and on the company side. So I'm going to go over kind of the most typical setup, but keep in mind that depending on your own settings or your company settings as far as what generates a lead and how the leads are routed, yours may not work in exactly the same way that I described. But first off, if somebody goes to your website and they create an account, so if they just go up to the top here and click join and they fill this form out, they can create an account here, and that'll create them a portfolio account. If they have a portfolio account, that lets them log into your website, or actually it automatically logs them into your website every time they visit, and they can then save properties, they can save searches. The system will send them notifications every time new properties that match their search criteria come up, stuff like that. So that's the first thing that will generate a lead for you. In those cases, for portfolio leads, the customer didn't actually make a request. So in those, you can decide how you want to handle those. You can even choose through the settings whether or not it actually generates a lead that you will go into the system and process. But that's the first method. Now, the second method is if somebody fills out your contact form. So in this case, this will generate an email request, but if somebody just goes in here, they fill out your contact form, and they type in their message, tell the system that they're not a robot, and hit contact, that'll generate a lead for you that's called an email request. And the system will leave it as unprocessed until you go in there and send a reply to the customer, and that will mark the lead as processed. Now in those cases, this is somebody that's trying to contact you to actually speak to you, but they're not making a request on a property. So this is just a request that's right here, and whatever they've entered into the contact form. So it can be a question about anything or whatever. And the next thing they can do is they can make a request on a property, and these are probably going to be the most valuable in terms of actual leads. So if I scroll down here to, we'll just pick a featured listing. I like this one. I heard once that Tim Finnegan lived on Watling Street. If anybody got it. Anyway, so on this, just any of your property detail pages, you have this request form here on the right. So if somebody fills this out the way it is, that will create an email request on this property. So then you'll get a lead in the system that shows you what property the request was made on, shows you all the lead's information, and if they entered any comments, and then you can reply to them through the system. This goes the same way as an email request. So when you reply to them, it will mark it as processed. And then the last thing they can do, which is what I'll actually do as an example, this is my test. So if I'm a customer, I just fill out the form. I'll put in a phone number too, why not? And go down here to comments, and I'll say I'd. And now if they say they want to see the property, from there they can go ahead and fill in a time that they would prefer. Now what this does is it doesn't actually schedule a showing for that time. This is just them requesting a time from you. But they'll get an email when they submit this that actually tells them that no time is confirmed until they actually hear from you with a confirmation of a showing time. So don't worry, just because they pick a time here doesn't mean you absolutely have to use that time for the showing. So we'll say late afternoon, why not? And they can fill in whether they've signed an agent's, buyer's agreement with any other agents or anything like that, and then continue. And there we are. So that's submitted a showing request, and at that point the system will send you an email. And if you're on the upgrade package and you have it set up, the system could also send you a text message. That email and that text message will include a link to log into the DeltaNet and go to your lead. So if you're already logged into the DeltaNet or you have your login saved, when you click the link in the email, it'll automatically log you in and take you straight to that lead. The only exception to that is if you're getting a broadcast lead from the company, instead of taking you straight to the lead, it'll take you to a page asking you if you want to accept or decline the lead first. If you decline it, then it just removes it from your leads and you don't have to worry about it. If you accept it, then it takes you to that lead processing page. Now, alternatively, you can do what I'm doing now, is you can go into the DeltaNet and you can either go to your customer center to see your unprocessed leads there, and you can see this is my most recent request here. Or when you first log in, it will take you to this welcome page. And yet again, if you're on the standard or upgrade package, it'll include this section that shows you all of your unprocessed leads as soon as you log in. So again, if you click the link in the email or the text message, it takes you straight to the lead, so to the actual processing page. Or if you log into the DeltaNet, you can either find it on your home page here on your welcome page. You can find it under Customers and Customer Center, which is pretty much the same process request interface, or you can find it under Leads and Contacts, and you'll see there's this red number 4 indicating that I have 4 unprocessed leads. So if I go to Leads and Contacts, Leads, there's my 4 unprocessed leads, and here's my most recent one at the bottom. So if I had clicked the link in the email, it would have taken me straight to this page, assuming it's not a broadcast lead, which I would need to accept first. From this page, you'll want to process the lead, and what that does is just indicate to the system that you contacted them. That way you remember to contact everybody that submits a request on your website. So, if you have unprocessed leads, then you've got something to do. So, first off, it shows you all the information that pertains to the lead. In this case, it was a showing request on a property, so we can see up here, these are the requested times for the showing request, the comment they left. This is the property and all the basic property information. And I can also click on this to go out to the property, the listing detail page for it. And the first processing method would be to send an email. So you can either click one of these to automatically fill in a response, just confirming the time, and it'll fill in automatically for you. Or you can type in a message that is whatever you want. Let's say something like, maybe something more markety than that. But method number 1 is you go in here and fill out your email, and then when you go down to the bottom and click send, it'll send the customer an email on your behalf, and it'll say whatever you put in here, and that will mark the lead as processed because you then contacted them. If they then reply to that email, their reply will go directly to your own email. So method number 2 is if they left a phone number, you can click this Get Phone Number button. That will show you the phone number, and it will also mark the lead as processed. In that case, it assumes that you called them. So, the idea is if you get the phone number, you then pick up the phone and call, so it marks the lead as processed as you having contacted them. And then lastly, if the lead matches certain criteria, so if either it's not brand new or basically if it's a lead that came in directly to your site so that it's yours, it's not a company lead like a broadcast lead, you will usually have the option to mark it as processed manually also. And what this does is it assumes that you already spoke to the lead somehow. Maybe you met them at an open house. Maybe it's somebody you're already doing business with, and they just happen to go to your website because you told them to go in and submit a request on any properties they see, anything like that. But basically, this is so that you can indicate to the system that you contacted them outside of the system somehow. All right, any one of these will mark it as processed, so I'll go ahead and get the phone number. There we go. So it shows me the contact information, the phone number here, so I can send them an email, I can give them a call. And then it also brings up this interface so that I can add a to-do to the system. And what this does is something that we have come up automatically because we suggest you do that for any customers you get in. By default, it sets it for 2 weeks out, so the idea is you process the lead now, and this sets up a reminder for you to contact them or follow up with them in, by default, 2 weeks. You can click this and change the date to whenever you want, but like I said, 2 weeks is pretty standard. Right now it says 2016, and I'm not real sure why that is. Probably because it's a test site, but But in any case, by default for you, it should be 2 weeks from the day that you're actually processing the lead. Alrighty, so there you go. And from that point, you contact the customer and work with them like you normally would. Now, just as an aside, other things you can do when you get a new lead or get a new customer. If we go up to Customers and down to Customer Center, at this point, anytime you get a new customer, it's a good idea to do a few different things with them. So in some cases, you might have groups set up that allows you to segment your customers in different ways for marketing. We've had videos that kind of focus on email marketing and segmenting your efforts so that you're marketing the right materials to the right people. And if you're using that, and if that's one of the things that you're doing with the system, then it's a good idea that when the new lead comes in, that's when you'll set it off into the group it needs to go in, so that you're sending them the right kind of marketing emails here down the road. Now, the other thing is it is real easy to add them to email campaigns from here. So if I go to Campaigns and Action Plans, I could put them in a group on this page, and then I can also scroll down, and if I have any custom campaigns set up, or for example, if I want to add them to the My Customer for Life campaign and I'm not automatically adding all of my customers to it already, I can go in here and I can click Add Customer and just type in the name of my new customer here, brings them up on the list, and if I check that box and hit Save, it adds them to that campaign. So from that point on, because it's their first day, it'll fire off an email to them, just a welcome email, and then it'll send them every other email in this list from here on out. Now you can also set up action plans in here, so it could do the same thing. You could have it set to send them an email on the first day and then set up a reminder in 2 weeks just to remind you to contact them. Have it set another reminder maybe a month after that, another email a month after that. So you can put this all together and fashion these campaigns however you want that'll work best based on both your market and how you have this customer segmented so that it's sending them the right kinds of emails. So that is a couple of things that it is a good idea to do every time you get a new customer. So one other way you can add them to campaigns and interact with the customer, this is the last thing I promise. There we go. So if we go to the Customer Center, we can see that the customer with the most recent activity is in my Hot New Customers list, so this is my new customer. So after I process them, if I go to Customers and Customer Center, I can go down here, click on my new customer. From here, I can see all the information that pertains to them. I can leave any notes if I've had any interaction with them. I just click Add a Note and fill in whatever my interaction was so that I can, keep track of that. It's a good idea to add a saved search or a market watch for them. A saved search will automatically start sending them properties that match their search criteria, whereas a market watch will send them a monthly email with some information about whatever market they're interested in. And we've got videos on these, but either way, you just click Add, and then you just follow through the process. So if you want to do map radius, you would click on that, set up your map, and hit Done, and your market watch is all set. Saved search works the same way. Click the button, and you just follow the steps in the wizard. So radius does a map radius by market. Would mean you type in whatever your market name is, and that could be zip code, city name, subdivision, anything like that. And then you fill in the rest of the information for their search criteria as necessary, and click Done, and that sets them up for saved searches. Now the other thing you can do is you can add them to campaigns on this page. So the idea is that once you process it, you can go straight to this customer page, and you can do everything you need to from right here. All right, so once you have them set up for a saved search, and you have a market watch set up, you have them added to a campaign, then you've done a pretty good job as far as marketing efforts to your new customer. All right? So, as always, it's been a pleasure. If you have any questions, concerns, feel free to leave a comment on this video or send an email into support@deltagroup.com or give us a call. If you have any suggestions for videos, you can get those to us in any of those methods also. It's been a pleasure, and I will talk to you again next week. Thanks.